Hey guys, I thought today we would create a festive Christmas card featuring the St. Nicholas DSP, the Merriest Trees bundle, and there's a couple of other goodies that we're going to bring into making this card today, all right? I'm Ray Henderson, an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator coming to you from East Tennessee. Be sure and stick around to the end of the video for a fun giveaway, okay? Stay with me on this. All right, let's jump right in. I just made some really quick notes. This probably wasn't the best note paper I could use. You might want to take a screenshot of that. It's got your dimensions, which there's nothing odd or different at all. But that will kind of give you a heads up. I'll hold that real still if you want to take a screenshot. Okay, and then I'm just going to move it over to the side because I'll be telling you all this as we go through. So, as I said, we are using the Merriest Tree stamps and dies. I am also bringing in the stylish shape dies for the sentiment, just to die cut the sentiment. I am also bringing in a couple of the scallop contour dies. And I am also using the Snowflake Sky 3D embossing folder. Do I have a sample card to show you? Yes, I do. And here we go. Isn't that festive and sparkly? However, wait for it. We're going to change it up a little bit. I knew there was something about this card that kept bugging me, okay? I felt like the tree was just a little bit too dark. Yeah, I wasn't real sure about that. And I wasn't really sure about the holographic DSP that I use for cutting out the decorations. So we're going to change things up just a titch. Now, the only part of the St. Nicholas Traditions DSP that I used is the Santas. You have two Santas. And so what I did is I took and I die cut all of my Santas out. You have the olive, green, mossy meadow one, and you have the real red one. And so I went through and didn't get anything else out of those a couple of pieces of DSP but cutting out Santas, okay? I cut out tons of them. And one of the things that I did, and you'll see that here in a minute when we get ready, I die cut it, but you know DSP is really thin, right? So I also die cut 2 more layers out of the regular basic white cardstock and glued it to the back. And that just gives it so much more dimension. It makes it really sturdy. And it just kind of helps let it pop a little bit, I think. Okay. All right. The only inks that we are using on today's card is the Real Red and the Old Olive. And I just grabbed my Real Red stamping spot. I actually got this in the October Paper Pumpkin Kit. I hope you didn't miss out on that. You may have. The November kit coordinates with the October kit. I've got my box sitting right here, so let me just show you a picture. This is what we got for October. And it made 8 cards, 9 cards, home for the holidays. And so for November, I believe the kit is going to have like coordinating little gift boxes, treat boxes that will tie in with that. It was really cute. It was really fun. I enjoyed putting that kit together. And I almost put it together and did a video with it for you guys. But we were going camping that weekend, and I thought, man, I got to have something to take. I got to have something to do besides maybe read a little bit and devotionals and things like that. So I took that with me and did that while we were gone that weekend. Okay, so you will need a card base, and I chose to do a 4 1/4 by 11 inches, and it's scored at 5 1/2 right in the middle. We're going to go ahead and burnish that score line right there. And so I did bring in the tartan DSP. I think it's called tartan plaid. And there were 3 colors in there. What are the other colors? Copper Clay is one of them. Pebbled Path is one of them. Right offhand, I don't remember what the other color, but there were 3 colors in there, and they're double-sided. Isn't that pretty? And honestly, I did try to do this with the lighter side showing, and I decided that it was a little too bright and too distracting for this design. And I used the Pebble Path because, do you see the Pebble Path that they used in some of the Santa there? And so that just kind of ties together. I have cut this at 4 by 5 1/4. So out of your 12 by 12, you'll get 6 of these 4 by 5 1/4. And you'll have a little bit left over. You can always use, now wait a minute. I'm not wanting to use Tombow. And let me tell you why. Because DSP is thinner, I don't want to use Tombow because it will kind of leave a ridge of glue because it's so nice and thick, and it's a good glue. But I am defaulting to my Barely Art for this one because Barely Art is actually formulated not to wrinkle and not to be clumpy. So we're just going to lay that on there, and hopefully I get that kind of straight and lined up. And so there we have our first layer, easy peasy. For the next layer, out of regular basic white, I used the largest scallop contour die and die cut this. We're going to lay that on there. For this, I can use Tombow. So we're just going to lay this right on top. Yeah, I've already kind of prepped a lot of mine. You know, I want just a tiny bit of glue just on my 4 little corners here in case they go to lift up. I'm not doing everything. I'm just wanting to put the tiniest little bit of glue right there. Yeah, I was afraid to use Tombow. Tombow is a thicker glue than Barely Art glue. And it can be a little gushier, I guess, if you want to use that term, than Barely Art. So, yeah, there we go. How's that? Looking good so far. Now, here's where the change comes in. So, in my sample card, I actually took the second largest scallop contour die, and I cut it out of Old Olive, and I embossed it with that Snowfall 3D. Okay? I don't know if you can pick up on that back there. And the darkness of that tree really bothered me. And then just before it was time to start to record this video, and I see I've done something I shouldn't have done, or I haven't done something I should have done. Let me secure my glue here for the second. Oh, come on. There we go. I decided to switch it. So instead of Old Olive, I die cut out of Mossy Meadow, used the same embossing folder, and so we're going to put the the Mossy Meadow in the background, not the Old Olive. There are tones of Old Olive and Mossy Meadow in the Santa. I don't want that gushing out. Just kind of feather that a little bit. I think we're good. Okay. And then we're just going to layer that right in the middle. But those 2 dies, and they're right next to each other. You go from large to next largest, and there you go. And see, I'm telling you, me and Tombow just don't always get along. And, you know, for every application, you have a tool, right? Tombow is great. It's wonderful. But let me tell you, there are many times, and of course you can't even see my little handwritten label anymore. The Barely Art has its place too. And you may have even another glue that you like to use. There are several out there on the market. They each have unique properties and applications. And so it's all good, right? Okay, now, here's my tree. Now, I did do the tree out of the old olive. It is old olive cardstock. When I stamped the background of the tree, I used the old olive ink, but I stamped it off very quickly one time. I didn't want to remove too much ink. I did want there to be, you know, where you could actually see it on there. I just didn't want it dark, dark. So I inked up my stamp, just stamped it off very quickly, and then went to my my cardstock with it. And honestly, I kind of did it backwards because, let me tell you, if you will take your details tree stamp and stamp it full strength first, and I did do mine in the old olive full strength, but it will make it so much easier with this dark part showing for you to then line up the body of the tree after you've stamped it off. And of course I did it backwards. It came out okay, but it would have been easier to see had I done the detail first. And sometimes our minds just don't work that way, right? Do the background, detail on top. But honestly, if you'll reverse that, it'll make things so much easier for you. Now, instead of die cutting, I've got all kinds of the ornaments over here to the side that are die cut in the, I've still got some of the holographic cardstock that I just put in a little baggie. I have got a whole bunch of the real red cardstock ornaments and things too that I had thought about trying. Totally changed everything up. Now, I still have some leftover champagne gold. We're not carrying that right now. What we are carrying is a regular gold and the distress gold in the annual catalog. And I got to realizing that I had never used the die that does the string of ornaments. Let me get my die set out here on the Merriest trees. Some of you have this. You're very familiar. And I realized, I thought, wait a minute. How cute would that be? So I have die cut those out of that gold. And let me bring my silicone mat in over here. You need something. You need some kind of a silicone mat. If you don't have Stampin' Ups, that's fine. Get something. So I die cut it out. And if you missed the video recently where I was explaining about the virtues of the magic mat, and where did mine go that I was using? Scrapbook.com sells these magic mats. They are wonderful. They're flexible. Eventually, what they'll tell you is that they will warp, but just putting them in hot water will flatten it back out. Do you see how much I've used this? Even on both sides. And I've used it for my bottom layer for die cutting for the most part. When you are die cutting with foil, it can be problematic. You almost either need a brand new top cutting plate that has no etching in it, because the surface of our foil papers is so delicate. If you have any etching at all on that top plate, you're going to pick it up. Now, it may not make that big a deal for something this tiny, but for something that's bigger, you're definitely going to see anything that puts a wrinkle or a dent. See what I'm saying? Now, you can use a cardstock shim. That works really well, but you're only going to use it one time because it's going to have that imprint in it. And if you try to use it again, same difference. I used this mat on top of my foil when I ran it through. And despite what has already been etched on it, it didn't mar it. Now, if I hold this just right, and I don't even know if it'll show. Do you see those little tiny lines right there? It's not a deal breaker, but it's where I had my tape to make sure my die didn't move. and I wasn't thinking about it, and so I put that big old piece of tape down there. So kind of keep that in mind. I can still use it because it's so faint and nobody is going to see that. But when you go to scrapbook.com, if you want to try these for yourself, because they will extend the life of your cutting plates as well, you will see that they have 2 different offerings for standard magic mats. Underneath on that same page, you'll see a whole bunch of photos at the bottom. One of those photos toward the end is actually a chart that will tell you that standard cutting mat will do this many machines and which kind of machines. And the other one will tell you what kind of machines the other standard is made for. They're both the same size, okay? These are, I got my little cheat sheet over here. These are 6.125 by 8.75. They are 3 millimeters thick, okay? Normally, a 2-pack of these is $20. They have them on sale right now, guys, for $9.99. I am not an affiliate with scrapbook.com any way, shape, or form, but I can't not tell you about these wonderful, awesome tools that are out there for making our crafting even more stress-free, okay? And so when you go over to scrapbook.com and you do a search for the Magic Mat, you will see 2 offerings for the standard. The other standard is actually a little higher priced. So look for the one that's on sale for $9.99. And for further verification, the little photos that are underneath on that page, bring that chart up, and the very first machine that it lists that it's compatible with is a Sizzix Big Shot, okay? We used to sell the Sizzix Big Shot before having our own dedicated Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. It works a lot the very same way, and I have not had any issues using the one made that is compatible with the Sizzix Big Shot with their Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine, okay? It is well worth its weight in gold. They will last you a very long time. In fact, my other one, I mean, I've used it a little bit, but not very much, okay? So, I've got my little die cuts here. And did I think to order adhesive sheets? No, I didn't. And I never could find my Stampin' Up adhesive sheets. So here's what I'm going to do. If I can make that stay, let me see if I can just kind of gently flatten that so it's not so curvy. There we go. That little piece you see right there, that is the longest part. That is this one down here. But it was too long for my tree because I cut my tree down. In the Merriest trees dies, you have what? Let's see, you have an outline die that does a whole tree, which is really substantial. It's large. And then you have another die that kind of cuts it down, and you have yet another die, and then another die. Like if you wanted just a little tiny tree, like for a background, you have a die that will cut that part out. So that's what I did. I just kind of cut out part of the tree, and so that was too long, and so I just cut part of it off. So what I want to do at this point, and I'm going to get my Gina K Designs tape runner, and I'm using hers because I threw my Stampin' Up Seal Plus in the trash just earlier this week. I did it because it was, and I know somebody just came out with a video, because this morning when I went to go watch my garden answer, it popped up in my suggested feed. There is a Stampin' Up demonstrator that just released a short. you know, like if your tape comes way out and how to fix it. Well, I knew how to fix it, okay? If you ever grew up with cassette tapes, how many times did we take a pencil or something and put it in those little teeth and rewind it to tighten it up, okay? I fixed it, started to use it, did the same thing again, and it tore my paper. So I said, you know, I'm done. So I flung it into the trash. I'm loving my Gina K, and here's why. Gina K's tape runner is forgiving, and it gives you wiggle room, just like Tombow does when you're using Tombow glue, okay? If I can just keep it from sticking to me. Oh, heavens. All right. You can see if I can stick that down there a little bit. Good deal. And so, if you're using a silicone mat, I want you to see there's no tape runner sticking out anywhere. None at all. All right, I don't want this piece first. Let me get my take your pick tool and see if I can kind of get that off of there. Maybe. Okay. Fiddly little stuff, isn't it? Okay, so let me bring my tree back over onto this mat. And let me pick this up. Whoop. There's my longest one. We're just going to lay this across the bottom. Now, yeah, this is kind of a little fiddly, but honestly, I didn't let it bother me. I loved it. I just thought that gave such a neat look. So if you don't have this set, or if you haven't used that die yet, and they're cute, so cute. So here's my next biggest one for my next layer. There we go. How's that? And here is my next biggest one. And this final layer here, I cut maybe too long. Let's see. I cut this off of this one. So let's just see what I get here. Yeah, it's going to be just a little bit too long. So let me get my snips. And we're just going to take a little bit of that off. There we go. It looks like it's still going around the tree. And I'll save that piece because it's on the silicone mat, so it's not going to hurt anything. You know what? Let me take a little piece of cardstock here. This has got the Gina K on the back of it, but let me show you what I'm talking about. So let's say I've put that down on my cardstock. Ooh, it's a little crooked, or oh, I need to move it for some reason. Do you see how that's forgiving? In a few minutes, it'll set up and it'll be permanent. That's why I like Gina K tape runner. That right there. Isn't that awesome? I love that. But I really don't want to waste that. There we go. All right, so now you know. And I'm not trying to sell products for other companies. I'm just telling you guys where there's a need, you know, go for it. So, now we have our little tree. Now I need to get my star. And there are several star dies in the Merriest tree set. And I simply use the rounded one. There is one that just puts that. And I thought that was somewhat whimsical. Really cute. Really cute. And I just want a little tiny bit of glue here in the middle of this. So here comes the Barely Art Glue again. And then we're going to lay this up here. I just don't want the very top of the tree sticking out above the star. So there we go. And if any glue gushed out, it's okay because it's on the silicone mat, right? All right. Let me see. What am I doing here? I won't need this glue right away. So I'm going to put that up. Now, I'm going to move this ever so carefully over to where I know nothing is going to get on it. And we're going to put the tree on this side. You get ready to do your card. You put it anywhere you want to. We're going to put that there. And I am going to glue it down flat. And I am going to use my Tombow because it is a little bit thicker. And I've got this embossed back here, which I'm sure the Bearly Art Glue would be just fine for. But I'm just going to go ahead and we're going to put a little extra glue right there in the middle. And pop him right down. It's okay if the tree comes, I'm almost not in camera mode again. Oh my heavens. It's okay if that tree kind of comes out over a little bit. And if you want to bring it down even further, I mean, you can if that bothers you. That's actually a little bit cleaner look to move it down. And hopefully I've got it straight somewhat. Okay. Now, for my Santa Claus, I do want to pop him up on dimensionals. Now, if you are mailing this, please be generous with your dimensionals, okay? If you're giving it in person, you can get away with using less, okay? Now, you can take that comment about if you're mailing it, you can buy the non-machinable stamps. They look like a big blue butterfly. It's actually the state butterfly of Colorado. I think it's called a blue hair streak. And they're a little over $1. I want to say they're $1.20. However, that covers the regular postage plus the little extra for it to be non-machinable. In that case, you can load it up as much as you want to with your foam tape, your dimensionals, whatever, doesn't matter. Speaking of foam tape, I still haven't had a chance to play with what I just got from, where'd I even lay it? I think I showed it in my first live video that was Tuesday. And I know I brought it in here, I'm just not sure where it's at. All right, and we're going to put him right about there. And the reason we're putting him right about there, if you look very closely to how they did his eyes, do you see how he's looking over? He's looking over at that star. Yep. And he might be a little crooked. But that foam tape is actually thicker than even their dimensionals. And it gives you wiggle room. So, thought I had it here, but I don't. I don't see it. Guys, my room is such a mess. I've got a class in the morning. So as you're watching this, I am having my coffee and getting ready for our class this morning at 10 o'clock. And I've still got more card kits to cut for that. Okay, onward and upward. Okay, but so far, let's see what we have here. So by flipping those colors, what do you think? Do you like using the Mossy Meadow and using the Old Olive in the foreground so that it's a little lighter and it kind of pops a little more? Do you like the Old Olive in the background and the Mossy Meadow up front? What do you think? Anyway, let me know in the comments below. And you definitely want to comment on this video because next Friday, I'll reveal the winner of the giveaway. And here in just a little bit, I'll show you what I'm giving away. All right, so I'm going to take my little Royal Red stamping spot. It's all fresh and new, and so I know it's inked up. And I'm using the sentiment from the Merriest trees, I think. Am I lying to you? No. Hoping your home is filled with the spirit of the season. This is photopolymer, and I'm playing Russian roulette by not getting a little mat out under me. I feel brave. I do. I feel brave. Let's move this out of the way and bring my little scrap in here. And, yeah, he's upside down. I don't care. So, I'm going to put that down, make sure I have good even pressure, even all the way to the end, because that's a long, kind of a longish stamp. There we go. Not too bad. And I'm going to lay that to the side, which I hate to do because, you know what? That's real red. That's real red. So I'm going to get my Stampin' Scrub and I'm going to clean that off. My Stampin' Scrub is wet because I was in here playing before starting this video. Okay, now move all that to the side and I'm going to bring up my Boho Blue Mini Me. And where are my Stylish Shape dies? There we go. And this is the one I'm going to use. It's the smallest of the long banners. And we're going to get this die cut. I've got my light gray specialty plate on the bottom. Cutting plate on the bottom. Gonna put in the cardstock. I put in my, this does just fit, guys. It just does. Now my die is just a little bit on the bent side. So yes, I'm going to go in here and hopefully that tape is about gone. Like it almost doesn't have any hole left to it. And we're going to crank this little baby through and get our sentiment on there. And then I'll show you how I kind of finished off the inside of the card. Now, I don't have a sentiment for the inside yet. And I don't because, and it wouldn't be fair to you guys, but I don't have it on there because I have some retired Christmas sets that have wonderful Christian-based sentiments in them. And, I mean, we have a few this year. And let me tell you something. I think this can be Christian-based. Hoping your home is filled with the spirit of the season. Do you get where I'm coming from? I think absolutely. You should not be ashamed to use that on a Christian-based Christmas card. Let me get my die put back in here safely. So I'm still debating on what I want to put on the inside. Now, my sample card, so what I did is with that largest scallop contour die out of Old Olive, I put that layer in, and the second largest I did in basic white. But like I said, I am not sure how I'm going to finish that off, what I'm going to end up using. And you can't tell me some of you guys don't have some retired stuff around too, right? So, let's bring this card that we're actually making right now back in. And I just had my dimensionals. Here we go. And, whoops. Please don't. So, there's one. There's two. And there's three. Now, a lot of my Christmas cards are going to be hand-delivered. Like to family, people at church, that kind of thing. So, just be mindful. If you know you're wanting to send a card you designed to someone and you're using dimensionals, you figure out, do you want to pay the extra money for the postage? Or do you just want to kind of beef it up with dimensionals so that as it goes through the rollers in the post office, it's okay. It's okay. It's not going to really mess it up and be a hot mess when your recipient receives that card. Now, another thing about that Stylish Shape dies, not only does it just fit that sentiment, but it lines up with the stitching. I don't know, can you see that? The stitching that puts in there. Yep, on both sides. I thought, oh, that was awesome. That was awesome. Okay. All right, so in other news, I finally ordered the Rabbit Hole Designs Cottontail Embossing Powder Tool, and I want to show it to you. It came, now the powder came separate. If you order this to try it, your powder is going to be in here. You are simply going to take it, this part unscrews on the bottom, and you have yet another. And that one really, I mean, it's easy to get it out. Like, I didn't have to dig with my fingernails. I don't want to pop it off right now because I do have my powder in there, but I really like the design of that. And because this screws on, it's like you have double protection, okay? And then when you first get it, you just simply slide this a time or two. It's kind of like a I don't know, kind of like ramping up a air rifle or something, okay? That's all you have to do, just a couple of times. Do you see that right there in the middle? There's my powder, and it's enough. It's more than enough as you would get ready to use this to prep for ink blending. I really shouldn't have done that, but anyway. Now, all you have to do is slide that up. It covers your brush. And put the lid on. Ta-da! And you're ready to go for the next time. And they do have powder refills that you can order. Okay. Now, it comes with this. It tells you why a lot of powder tools are, quite frankly, very lacking. Okay. And they even go into detail about what makes theirs different. One of the big differences is the fact that they use kaolin clay and not talc powders and things that everybody else uses, okay? Plus the brush, the way their brush is designed, okay? And more than once they warn you, please try to avoid petting your brush. Yes, we know it is soft. And it can be cleaned, and it tells you, you know, over time, if it starts to get a little mucky, how to clean it. And again, please try to avoid petting your brush. All right? So I'm excited. I'm excited to use that in upcoming videos where we are going to be doing some heat embossing together. The other goodie I got this a couple of days ago, and I haven't even opened it yet. Ta-da! I kept telling y'all I was going to order a Misty. I ordered the teal one. This is the regular, standard, whatever. It's not the mini, and it's also not the biggest one that they make, but this is plenty big enough for the average card crafter. You might want the big one if you're doing scrapbooking, things like that. But anyway, I hadn't even opened it yet. It does come with everything you need, okay? It does have, now, I've heard it called the mouse pad, and maybe that's what they used to refer to it as. I don't know, but it does have a foam mat so that when you're using your photopolymer, you're good to go. It comes with one really strong bar magnet, which, you know, once upon a time, over a year ago, I had ordered the Misty sticky mats. I've got them here, guys, somewhere, and I can't find them. So, the hunt is on, but I do have those. But anyway, guys, what do you think? Do you like this card? Now, I didn't go ahead and glue in the inside piece for this, but I guess I really should, huh? Should just go right ahead and glue this in so that you can see how the inside of the card is supposed to look. If you go by my design, it's your card. You design it any way you want to. Okay. You see what I'm talking about? Like putting the glue right there. I can take my real fine, barely art glue and secure that down. And then there is that you will put your stamping on. So what do you think, guys? Do you like this card? It's actually really simple. There's a little bit of die cutting, and then boom, 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 it just comes together. But I thought that was kind of a different way to use that DSP, was just using the Santa Claus out of it and then adding some layers behind him to give him a little bit of dimension. And these could have been curved instead of going straight. And, you know, you could have took them and zigzagged them all the way across. I thought of that too. But sometimes, guys, we just need the easy button, don't we? All right, I told you to stick around to the end of the video for the giveaway. And so, comment below, because I will be using a random comment picker for YouTube videos, and I will announce a winner with you here next Friday. Okay, these are out of stock. You can't get these, and they're not going to be in until later in the month of November. These are called the Adhesive Back Glitter Sequins. Brand new pack. If you missed out on them and really wanted them, That'll give you some incentive to make a comment, leave a comment. Now, I've got my personal pack here because this flap kind of covers it up. And I want to point out, you have your larger, larger, larger. And then you have your smaller, smaller, smaller in all three colors. And these are blue. It just said blue, white, and old olive. But isn't that festive for Christmas? I think that would work wonderful on your Christmas cards. How about coming spring? You know, I know we're not even officially into wintertime yet, but it'll be here real quick, and then boom, just as quick, it'll be gone, and we'll be back into spring. It's also really fun and festive summer colors. So yeah, leave a comment in the video, in the comment section below the video. And be sure and check out my links. I always put links to the supplies that I've used. I put a link to Wendy's Creative Vault. I am an affiliate with Wendy's Creative Vault. It will not cost you extra if you decide to subscribe to her vault. I do earn a commission, but it doesn't cost you extra, okay? And seriously thinking about maybe also adding some links to some inspirational Christian songs, you know, something to kind of help you out if maybe things haven't been going your way and you're kind of struggling a little bit. So let me know what you think about that idea in the comments below. Thank you so much for being here with me today. I appreciate all of you. You mean a lot to me. You really do. Next Tuesday, 10 a.m., I am going live. I don't even have a card planned for that yet, but it'll get there. Let me get through this weekend, and yeah, it'll come together. So, and if you have comments or suggestions about what kind of a card you'd like to do live with me next Tuesday, put that in the comments below. Any comments count toward the giveaway, okay? All right, guys, y'all be safe, be blessed, know you are loved. God is good all the time. Bye.